And when we see what God is doing, we become the carriers of that grace, of His Spirit. Can we go to that next verse I have? 2 Corinthians. Therefore, we are Christ's representatives, as though through God were pleading through us. And He's pleading through us. Someone moved my picture. Become reconciled to God. On Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. That's what we are pleading, as if God is pleading through us. And we become the reconcilers. We become the reconcilers because we see what God is seeing. We see that person as God is seeing. Remember the woman in the well, the Samaritan woman. Do you think God saw her? Do you think God knew what was going on in her life? Do you think God had an appointment with her? Because when she started small talk. She started small talk. So did Jesus. But He was setting her up. He asked her for water. And then He offers her water. Remember that? And He says, but, sir, you don't even have a rope or a bucket. How can you offer me water? And He's setting her up. He says, this water that you're going to drink from, you're going to be thirsty again. I've got a water for you that you'll never thirst again. He's setting her up. Are you greater than our Father who gave us this well? He's setting her up. He changes the topic, Netsu, because he's with God's agenda. He sees what God is seeing. He says, go and call your husband. Why did you have to go there? Why do you have to cut down to the chase of my identity? Do you know, sir, that in my whole life, this has been my identity problem? Do you know that I was abused as a child? I was neglected by my father. I was looking for acceptance and love in all the wrong places. And I can't find it, can't be fulfilled. Jesus says, it's true you don't have a man. Because the one you're with is not your husband. You've had 5 husbands. What? Who sees me so deeply? I perceive you're a prophet. She wants to change the topic again, and Jesus brings it back. Those who worship God must do so in spirit. In spirit and in truth. And those two go together. Spirit and truth, that's the Spirit of Christ. Full of grace and truth. Spirit and truth. Those who live by the Spirit will understand, because the Spirit of God is a spirit of wisdom, is a spirit of revelation, is a spirit of knowledge, is a spirit of understanding, is a spirit of counsel. It's a spirit of lordship and the fear of the Lord. That is the Spirit of God. And when you're operating by the Spirit and you say, this is how we worship God, living in the Spirit, and that will be life, and life eternal. So, are we ready to do some practical? Nou gaan dit lekker raak. Nou gaan dit lekker raak. I'm going to start off by those who were here last week. Those who were here last week, remember, some of you walked over to someone to give them a hug. So when we do this practical, let me just preface this. When we do this practical, we're going to have you walking around. So ladies, or whoever, I've also got a man bag. Secure your possessions and take it with you, that you don't worry about what happens. Because there are still some that come in here with other motives. Bestraf daai gees van steel. Bestraf jou. You will return what you stole, even in this building. For you, your 60 rand is coming back. They stole out of his wallet. So take it with you. But we got to walk around. I'm going to start with find the person that you hugged last week. That's the first assignment. You have to go on a treasure hunt. And I want you to know that when you communicate now, and the rest of us are also going to participate, this is the deal. Are we representatives of Christ? Are we speaking on God's behalf? Are we seeing by the Spirit? So when you see someone, are you going to tell them, God sees you? God sees you. And you are loved by God. And then when you speak into their lives, so now, last week we gave them a hug. Today, you are going to tell them, and you're going to see them. And by the Spirit, you're going to receive download from heaven, from your Father, by revelation, and you're going to tell them how God sees them. And you're going to speak life to them. Okay, so everyone that stood last week for a hug, you stand quickly first. Those who got a hug last week. Okay. And those that you can see where your person is, and then you move to those people. Those who stood last week for the hug, I want you to see who those people are, so you go back to them. This time you're going to speak love to them. If they're not here, you're going to find someone else. Okay. The rest of you, secure your things and stand up. Stand up where you are. And now you're going to walk across the room and you're going to ask, listen, this is deep. You're going to ask God, Lord, who is it that you want me to go and see as you see them? And you're going to find lonely, you're going to find broken, you're going to find all types of things, but you're going to go and see them as God sees them, and you're going to speak over them God's heart of how He sees them. Is that clearly understood? Okay, let's all stand. And if you can't stand, then we will come towards you. I know there's some people that cannot walk around. That's fine. It's not you young people. If I see you not walking around and you family, I'm going to ask you what your ailment is so we can pray for you. I want you to go and speak to someone. I want you to go and speak to someone. I want you to go and share with them as God sees them, as God sees them. God, when He connects you to someone who you give the right to speak into your life as a spiritual father, there's a grace that comes to you through that person. And even to deal with the blockages, to evict those lies, to evict those spirits, both with both these cases and others that I've dealt with that are my spiritual sons. I have the authority to evict those things because God has given me that authority in their lives. And there's a grace. Surely you've heard about this grace. The administration of God's grace. The other word for that administration is oikonomia. What's that sound like? Economy. Economy. That's where the word economy comes. The stewardship, the economy of God's grace given to me for you, Annalise. To me, for you, David. And this is how God wants us to be able to be the channels when we correctly connected and aligned. So may God's grace be your portion. May God's grace come to you through those that you're connected to in the body. May you know the economy of His grace, the administration of His grace, and it flows not just to you, but through you to the others that He connects you with. God bless.